This is a beginner and casual guide to Enhancement Shaman in Season 3 of The War Within. On the left here we have our top priority, on the right we have our bottom priority. If you'd like to get the UI, excluding these big ugly bars for the tutorial, then check out my Patreon where you can support the channel. So, let's get into it with number 1 priority, Feral Spirit. On a 1.5 minute cooldown, you basically send these cool wolves into battle, increasing how much damage we deal. They will also generate 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon immediately and a stack every few seconds. So what's that? Well, that is this resource here that I'm building up, Maelstrom weapon. And we could basically use this on our spells as a resource that we will spend. But more on that shortly. So the next thing we're going to do in the top of our priority is using our Ascendant cooldown. We become an Air Ascendant for 15 seconds, doing damage, reducing cooldown on our spell called Storm Strike, and transforming our auto attack and Storm Strike into wind attacks, which bypass armor. And while it's active, we're also generating Maelstrom weapon stacks, which are at a maximum of 10, by the way. Speaking of our weapon, don't forget to imbue it with your Flame Tongue weapon, and also your Wind Fury weapon. These are specific enchants available to the Shaman. So as you can see here, usually Storm Strike is down here on the rotation, but when we go into Ascendant form, it changes into Wind Strike. And in Ascendant form, I want you to use Wind Strike as your top priority on cooldown, as well as using your Feral Spirits to do more damage, basically. But literally just use Wind Strike on cooldown when in Ascendant form. After that, obviously when you're out of it, use Doom Winds on cooldown. This is a big old sexy Storm Strike, Storm Weapon attack as well, basically. And it increases the chance for our weapon enchants to activate. Now we're going to talk about how we're spending our Maelstrom weapon. Now I do this at 8 or more stacks, and currently we have 10. Number 1, it's going to be Lightning Bolt, but only when it's called Tempest. If we look at our talents, we can see here that every 40 Maelstrom weapon stacks we spend replaces our next Lightning Bolt with Tempest. So whenever you see Lightning Bolt transform into Tempest, use that as your top spender for your Maelstrom weapon. If it's not, like right now, then we're going to use Elemental Blast. And if that's not available, then it's going to just be plain old boring Lightning Strike. Or Lightning Bolt even. After that, we're basically just going down a boring priority list where we're saying, if we have this, use it. If we have this, use it. Number 1 is going to be Storm Strike if you're at 2 charges. Then, again with Flame Shock, it can actually turn into Voltaic Blaze. And that's this passive here. Tempest, Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lightning have a chance to make your next Flame Shock become Voltaic Blaze. Basically, whenever you see it transform into that, that's when we're going to use it. Like right now, here we go. So that's when you're going to use that one. Then we're just going to use Ice Strike, Lava Lash, Sundering, and also Frost Shock or Flame Shock as the basic one to fill. And if you've got truly nothing else to press, then it would be Lightning Bolt. And there is our Tempest. So again, going down the priority list, Feral Spirit, Ascendants. When in Ascendants, use Wind Strike on cooldown. And then we're going to be using Doom Winds on cooldown, Tempest whenever we get it as a Maelstrom weapon spender. If not, use Elemental Blast. If you can't use Elemental Blast, then it's going to be Lightning Bolt as your spender. Use Storm Strike if you've got 2 charges. Use Voltaic Blaze. Oh, and there's our Tempest. And then we're going to use Ice Strike, Lava Lash, Sundering, and Frost Shock if we basically have nothing else to press in that order. And that is the main single target rotation. Now, if we go into the Mythic Plus build, what we're going to see is a few things are changing over here. So this is the rotation we're then going to follow here. So, Flame Shock, if it isn't active with Primordial Wave available, as you can see, you've got Primordial Wave here, blasting all targets affected by your Flame Shock with a Primordial Wave dealing damage. And it will generate 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, but we can only use it if Flame Shock's up. So make sure Flame Shock is up as a number 1 priority. What you then want to do is use your Lava Lash here, and that's going to spread your Flame Shock to nearby enemies. Then we want to use Primordial Wave. Now you can see that we've turned it into Primordial Storm, and at 10 weapon stacks, we're going to be using Primordial Storm, but not as our number one priority. So number one priority is using Flame Shock, spreading it with Lava Lash, and then using Primordial Wave. After that, we want to use Ascendance, and again use Wind Strike on cooldown when in the Ascendance window. After that, we're going to be using Doom Winds. And then after that, if you do have Primordial Storm, we're going to spend it here with 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks. If not, then we're going to move on and use Tempest for our Maelstrom weapon spender. If we can't use Tempest, then use Chain Lightning as your spender. Then we're going to be using Crash Lightning here. We're going to be using Voltaic Blaze. And then we're going to use basically Storm Strike, Ice Strike, Lava Lash, and then Flame Shock if we have nothing else to press. They're just our fill-out ones, basically. So again, Flame Shock, Primordial Wave, and then we're going to use Ascendance using Wind Strike on cooldown when we do have it. Doom Winds, if we've got 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks and we can, then use Primordial Storm. If not, then Tempest. If not, then Chain Lightning. Then use Crash Lightning on cooldown. Use Voltaic Blaze if you have it. And then if we've got nothing else to press, it's simply going to be Storm Strike, Ice Strike, Lava Lash, and Flame Shock in that priority order. And that's the Mythic Plus rotation. A few other little bits that we have. Keep Sky Fury up at all times. It buffs you and your allies for an hour. Keep your Lightning Shield up. That's basically a shield that the Shaman themselves can have up on themselves. And don't forget, of course, to keep Flame Tongue weapon and Wind Fury weapon on your weapons at all times as well. In Mythic Plus, you might want to use Cleanse Spirit to help with curse effects on your allies. We've got the Earth Elemental, which is a great defensive. The best cooldown in the game, of course, Bloodlust, increasing haste by 30% for all party and raid members. Another one we have is Astral Shift, reducing damage taken, Purge, removing a beneficial effect from our enemies, and Windrush Totem, which is great for moving allies through a certain area much quicker. Lastly, we have Wind Shear, which is your interrupt. Interrupting your enemy spellcasting, really, really valuable and important in Mythic Plus. I'm not going to go through all of the talents and the spells, etc. that we do have available. What I would recommend is that you go through these on your own once you're more comfortable with the rotation, as obviously this is more of a beginner and casual guide for you. So get that main rotation really comfortable and then start looking at your passives and talents and how it all comes together into the rotation I've shown you bit by bit, and that is how I would advise that you learn it. Now don't forget to subscribe, of course, and check out the playlist on screen if you want to see any other specs as I do them all.